Hello, hello. All right, good afternoon, everyone. My name's Chris O'Connor. I'm the head of hydrogen for Equans in the UK and Ireland.
And my name is Andres Galnares. I'm the CEO of H2Site.
And we're delighted to be here today to talk through our Tisley ammonia cracker project. It is the world's largest and most efficient ammonia to hydrogen conversion project. It will be capable of producing 200 kilograms a day of fuel cell grade hydrogen. So we're going to share some of the learnings from that and give you an update on our progress. Now, before we get onto that, I wanted to quickly introduce Equans and explain who we are. So Equans is the new combined entity consisting of the Equans Group and BEIS Energy and Services. We've been established to become the new world leader in providing technical services. And as you can see, we're nearly 100,000 people across more than 50 countries with a particular concentration across Western Europe. What we really want to do is help our customers get through the three most challenging transitions of our time. So the energy transition, the digital transition, the industrial transition. Clearly, hydrogen links into all of that. And as you can see from the deep expertise across both Equans and BEIS Energy and Services, hydrogen is a natural extension to what we've been doing for hundreds of years.
Yeah, and as a very quick introduction about what H2Site does, well, we produce cost-efficient on-site renewable hydrogen for small and medium consumers, both in industry and mobility segments, using what we call feedstock versatile membrane reactors. So that's a technology that we have developed together with our partners for the last 15 years, and then we created a spin-off in order to commercialize this technology to solve one specific problem that is related to hydrogen that hasn't been that much of a focus until now, right? Which is the problem of transporting hydrogen. So that's one of the solutions that we have to transport hydrogen efficiently is what we're going to present to you today with Chris, right? So originally the technology that we developed was created by two research and development centers, so Technalia and the Technical University of Eindhoven, that started collaboration with ENGIE about 5 or 6 years ago. Then the company was spun out, and we recently raised Series A with Breakthrough Energy Ventures, Equinor, and an institutional investor.
Cheers, Andreas. So before we get onto the project itself, I just wanted to explain why we're doing this project and why would anyone consider ammonia cracking in the first place. So as Andreas said, it's sometimes hard to get hydrogen where you need it. There's a disconnect between where we can produce hydrogen and where we want it. And ammonia's properties allow us to overcome some of the challenges that we'd face with other forms of hydrogen production. So firstly, it allows us to overcome local infrastructure constraints. In areas that might not have enough industrial density to invest in a hydrogen pipeline, then we can produce it on site. You might say, oh, we'll produce it on site by installing an electrolyzer. But we know there's a lot of places with constrained electricity grids where we can't get the capacity to that electrolyzer to be able to produce it there. And sometimes as well, there's not enough space for the renewables that we'll need to power these electrolyzers in a cost-effective manner. So the H2Site technology gives a distinct advantage that if we are in a constrained area, we can run it on a parasitic mode using some of the gas to keep it in operation. The second reason is that ammonia has a much higher volumetric energy density than hydrogen. So you can store more energy in a smaller amount of space. Now, to bring this to life with a pretty kind of significant example up here, if we were to run one 900 megawatt hydrogen gas turbine for a week, it would take 2.5 salt caverns worth of hydrogen, or just one 15,000 ton ammonia storage cylinder. So we've already got these cylinders on the market today, and it just shows the ability to be able to store large amounts of energy in a much tighter space. And if we're thinking there's a lot of locations that don't have a geographical ability or a geological ability to store hydrogen underground, it opens up new places to be able to produce hydrogen. And then the third point, and it's probably quite pertinent to everyone here today, is it facilitates a global trade of hydrogen. Ammonia is already traded across the Atlantic, across the world today. You can see some of the ports and shipping locations on the screen. And if we're able to reform this ammonia back into hydrogen at the point of use, then we can come up with these international trade deals and bring down the cost of hydrogen on a global scale. So that's why we're doing it. The next question is, where are we doing it? So we've decided to do it in the Tisley Energy Park. As you can see on the screen, it's in the Midlands. It's probably about as far away from the sea as you can get in the UK. But it's also a very strategic location. It's about 2.5 miles from Birmingham, the UK's second biggest city. It's about 6 miles from the Birmingham International Airport. And for this reason, it's being designated an energy innovation zone, where there's been lots of investment into carbonising heat, energy, power, waste, etc. And actually, it's already home to the UK's largest hydrogen refuelling station. Now, although it's the largest hydrogen refuelling station today, it's nowhere near the size that we'll need when the hydrogen economy grows to the size that everyone here is expecting it to. And for that reason, we need to be able to increase the size and the capacity of this site. But for the reasons that I mentioned earlier, there are some challenges in doing this. There's not enough industrial demand to justify a hydrogen pipeline. We've got a constrained grid, and we've also got constrained local renewables. As you can see, it's a highly dense urban area, so we can't exactly install a couple of wind farms or solar or anything like that. So that meant it was the perfect location alongside our partners to come up with this project. There's the refueling station. Now, just to look at the site itself, we've tried to keep it as simple and as neat and as tidy as possible. And in fact, the only civil works required on this project is an extension to the existing concrete slab. So you'll see we're working on the existing park. We're going to build a concrete slab that's aligned at the same gradient as the existing one. We're going to connect to the existing electrical feeder on site, and we're going to install one new water pipeline around the outside. And if we think about the overall process of how we get from ammonia to hydrogen, we can run through it in some simple steps. So all of it will be contained in these temporary steel structures that you can see. And the first thing that we'll have is 18 liquid ammonia storage vessels. Each of these are 530 kilograms, or contain 530 kilograms of ammonia. From here, we'll have 3 of these vessels loading into the heating and the transfer unit. We'll pass some warm air over the vessels themselves, which will create a pressure differential, which will allow it to move into the next stage of vaporization. The ammonia vapor will then pass into Andreas's technology that we'll talk about in a minute, the ammonia cracker. The final element on the site is the nitrogen storage that we'll be using for purging when we start up and shut down the membranes. So with that in mind, we've got all the planning permission approved on this, and it's raring to go now. Andreas is just going to talk through the technology itself in a bit more detail.
Okay, so as I said, what we have developed is a technology that solves the problem of transporting hydrogen, right? So Chris has introduced this technology that is called integrated membrane reactor for the ammonia use case. But it can be used with plenty of other crackers. We can crack ethanol, methanol, biogas, formic acid, DME, whatever. So what we like about these molecules is for them to be easy to transport, commoditized in terms of production, and for them to have a regulatory framework that is very well defined. But we treat them all the same. We take the molecules, we put them into a process column, and this process column contains our key element, which are our membranes. We have a manufacturing site that is located in the Basque Country in the north of Spain, where we produce these membranes. And these membranes are extremely selective towards hydrogen. That means that whenever they see hydrogen appear, they will absorb it instantly in one single process step, and they will deliver hydrogen at fuel cell purity level. So that is the solution number 1, right? The conversion of commoditized hydrogen carriers. Solution number 2 consists of deblending. There are several geographies, actually like the UK, that are more interested in blending hydrogen into the natural gas network. We do not believe that this hydrogen being burned together with the CH4 makes sense for the purpose of decarbonization. However, if you're able to use an existing infrastructure and use a technology to separate the hydrogen at the consumption point to deliver it at fuel cell purity, you can use your same networks to have both methane as a transition fuel and renewable hydrogen. So these are the 2 solutions that we offer today. If we enter a little bit more into the detail for the ammonia, well, today we call it a multi-cracker, right? So as I said, we are capable of transforming different locally available feedstocks into fuel cell purity hydrogen. Chris has already mentioned the fact that ammonia's infrastructure for storing, for transport, for handling, and all the ammonia regulation are already available and are well-known technologies, right? And well, today what we put into this equation is the fact that we convert this ammonia into fuel cell purity hydrogen with efficiencies that are above 97.5%. How does this work? Well, everything happens inside this column that you can see there, right? So that is what we call the integrated membrane reactor. So the membranes that are located inside the column, as I said, are very selective towards hydrogen. So what will happen is that the ammonia, the NH3 molecule, will convert into N2 plus 3 times H2, right? The membranes being very selective, as the hydrogen is being generated, it will be absorbed. And what the reaction will see is that there is a lack of hydrogen, right? So the ammonia will further want to convert into hydrogen, right? So that's a principle that is called Le Chatelier. And it makes the efficiency, or it makes the reaction to require way less energy than what it would require normally. Therefore, we can operate these reactors at temperature levels that are between 300 and 400 degrees, compared to the 700 to 800 degrees that you typically see in the industry, right? So that's the magic, the combination of both the steps of conversion of the molecule and separation of the hydrogen, right? So everything is installed in a 40-foot container. Actually, it's two times 20-foot container, if I remember correctly. And yeah, the purification is done simultaneously to the cracking, right? So this is the result. All in all, when you take a look at the numbers in the industry right now, you typically need 8 kilograms of ammonia to produce 1 kilogram of hydrogen. Today, with the technology that we have, with a company that has a little bit over 2 years, we managed to produce 1 kilogram of hydrogen with 5.5 kilograms of ammonia, right? The ammonia being relatively expensive, we believe. Hello? Yeah. So we believe that the efficiency for those technologies, as well as the footprint that we minimize, will allow us to tackle very different market opportunities like the one that we are building with Chris.
Yeah, thanks, Andreas. So outside of the clearly very innovative ammonia cracking technology, probably the two most other complicated components as part of this project is the transfer vessel, the one that we can see on the right-hand side. So where the free ammonia drums are heated, where that pressure differential is created, and which draws the ammonia vapor into, draws the ammonia into the vaporization chamber. And the vaporization chamber is shown on the right-hand side there. Now, clearly, when you're dealing with ammonia, you have some additional safety concerns rather than in a pure electrolytic hydrogen production project. And we've had this very much front and center as we've been going through the design phase of this project. So as part of our hazard study and the wider safety concerns, we've identified all of the key risks and are now pleased that pretty much all of these have either been engineered out or been managed out of the project through really robust on-site processes. So the project is, like I said, ready, raring to go now. In fact, if we look at the where we currently are, we are mobilizing today or tomorrow. So we're planning to get the keys to the site in the next couple of days and start breaking ground fairly soon. After that, we'll have it built in the first half of this year. It will be commissioned around June time before operations begin in October. And obviously through this, we want to demonstrate that we can produce hydrogen in a cost-effective fuel cell grade purity using this technology. And finally, because this is just an innovation project, we will be decommissioning it in January 2025. So hopefully we'll be able to demonstrate that over that run period, it is something that's got legs in the future. So obviously, if you're interested in keeping up to date with this, follow myself or Andreas on social media. You can follow Equans and H2Site, or even the Ammogen project itself. Or we might be back next year to share an update as and when it's operating. So a very exciting project. It really is the first of its kind. We've learned a lot during the design of this process, and it's really encouraging that between us and the other parties in the consortium, we've got to a position now where we're able to actually build this thing. So really encouraging. And outside of that, I just wanted to kind of focus on some of the other things that the joint Equans and Bouygues Energy and Services group are doing. We really have been established to become the new world leader when it comes to actually delivering hydrogen projects, designing, building, operate, maintain throughout their life cycle. And these are just some of the projects that we've developed across Western Europe. So if you're interested in learning any more about how Equans can support us or support you in your projects, then please come and see us. Our booth's in the middle. It was the one with the big leg of ham. I think most of that's gone now, but you can't miss us. It's on the ceiling. So with that in mind, yeah, thank you very much. And we're happy to take any questions for the last 5 minutes or so.
Good afternoon. Thank you for this presentation. JJ Van Eyck from magazine Destination Climat or Climate Destination. Two questions. I'm already, each time I'm embarrassed because what is small, medium size? We have no idea. The number could be 1 million, 1,000 or 10. So you have to give us some hint regarding this. And if I understood, you have a kind of beta test to be started pretty soon, okay? Who will be the company to start with you or the sector if you cannot disclose the name of the company?
So as an indication of size, we said this project is going to produce 200 kilograms a day of hydrogen. The largest project of its kind elsewhere is 5 kilograms a day. So it's massively increased on what's currently been done in the world. Our customer, if you can call it that, in this project is actually the UK government. So it's an innovation-funded project to demonstrate that this is something that can scale going forwards. But that said, we did want to make sure that we weren't just producing hydrogen for the sake of it. And we're going to pipe the hydrogen that we produce from the ammonia cracker to the existing hydrogen refueling station on the site. So it will be used by West Midlands buses, which are already using that refueling station. So it's not just innovation for innovation's sake. We can actually support further decarbonisation with this.
Hello. A question more for Andrea, I think. Do you use palladium or palladium alloy for your membrane?
It's an alloy.
Not palladium?
It's an alloy that contains something that is similar to palladium.
Okay, thank you.
Why do decommission that in 2025? Why are you to decommission in 2025?
Yeah, it's a good question. So the way that innovation funding is, well, funded in the UK, it has to support the innovation itself. So if we could run it, forever, then it, by the kind of, I guess, views of those who are funding it, it's not an innovation in itself because it's got longevity. So even though the current plan is to decommission it in 2025, there is a possibility that if it's running and it's running effectively and we're able to secure a good price for the hydrogen, then we'll be able to keep it going. So that is the ambition, but we wouldn't want to say that right now and then have to backtrack.
Hello. About the efficiency of the system, from your slide, I read about 97% of conversion. But in the slide, I see that we start from 48 kilogram hour ammonia, and we have just 8 kilo of hydrogen. How do you explain this?
Well, there are different sorts of efficiencies. So the conversion efficiency of the ammonia is what is most important, at least for us in this case. So you want to have all the ammonia converted to make sure that there is no ammonia that is emitted, because ammonia emissions are difficult to handle, right? So what we managed to do is to convert, well, actually we say more than 97.5%, but we convert more than 99% of the ammonia. There is no ammonia slip at all, right?
But in effect, from 48 kilograms of ammonia, we have just 8 kilos of hydrogen. What's the yield of that? It's very low yield.
Which is the hydrogen that is contained in the ammonia molecule
Yes?
is completely recovered.
Ah, in that sense. Okay, okay. I got it.
No, brilliant. If there's no more questions, thank you very much for listening. I hope you learned something new. And like I said, come and speak to myself or Andreas if you want a private conversation about this. More than happy to answer anything you have to say. And have a good day at Hyvolution.